Hey everyone, it's Dave. I just want to say some stuff just before we get into the episode. Today in the episode, we talk about Infinity Sauce. The guy that does Infinity Sauce is part of the story. So, I just wanted to do a quick shout out. If you guys don't know about this hot sauce, go to infinitysauces.com. Check it out. It's great stuff. Trust me. I'm only talking about this stuff on the show because I love it. If it were a garbage product, I wouldn't talk about it. It is not. It is fantastic. I used some on my food last night. Last night when I recorded this, not probably when you hear it, but you know how this works, right? We understand. Okay, here we go. Welcome back to another episode of I've Known You Too Long. My guest today used to play guitar for a band called Positively Negative and a band called Slick 50. And his band Positively Negative played the official premiere of my movie The Edge of QUARREL in Seattle when it first came out. And they were on the soundtrack, and Excursion Records put out some compilations with them on it. We've done multiple things over the years. We've worked together. My guest today is Kyle FLETCHER.
Hello.
Did I get all that right?
Yes. My favorite part, though, in the movie, our song plays during the poop scene. In the fridge. Oh,
if people haven't seen The Edge of QUARREL, which would be fine.
That's their problem. They need to watch it.
I suppose they might. Thank you. There's a scene. There is a poop scene.
Yes, and Positively Negative's playing.
And you felt proud about that.
Oh, dude, it was awesome because all bands do it, but we took pride in poop jokes in the band, and it was perfect. They opened up the fridge and did their little business, and there's Positively Negative playing.
So there's a scene in the movie where someone actually puts poop in chocolate ice cream in a freezer in a refrigerator at a party.
Yep.
And that scene is not fiction. That's actually something that was a story that was told to me that I incorporated into my screenwriting when I was writing the script.
Nice.
So somewhere that happened to someone.
Did anybody end up eating said ice cream?
No one knows because the people who told the story about doing it left the party and they didn't know what party it was. So Now, Kyle, I've known you too long.
Facebook says we've only known each other 6 years.
Well, yeah, but I don't know. I mean, I haven't been on Facebook a whole lot more than 6 years.
I mean, either. No, but we met.
Facebook.
I think Kinko's. We may have met before Kinko's, but I think that's when
we didn't know we had.
Yeah.
So here's what I know about you. I was working at Kinko's. I was a delivery guy, a delivery driver. And the other part of the delivery department at Kinko's was foot delivery guys that did their work. They would leave the store with a little delivery guy bag and run out and do the stuff in the downtown core because we were right downtown Seattle. So I think I met you the day you started.
Yeah. John Kessler, our boss, who lived in Everett.
John Kessler, you say?
Yes.
Does he do something now that people would know?
He makes hot sauce.
He makes
killer hot sauce.
Infinity sauce. We've talked about that hot sauce on the show a lot. It is killer.
We wrote a jingle for him. Me and my partner in the studio, Peter Barcott. We wrote a jingle for his hot sauce on one of he has a YouTube little ad that's running.
It's running right now?
It's up there.
If it's on YouTube, it's going to go on the blog page for this episode.
Okay, we'll see if we can find it. We did it for free. We did it he sent us a bunch of hot sauce.
Yeah. That's not free. That stuff is awesome.
No, but I was working at Washington Mutual, and I got off the elevator, and there he is with a messenger bag. John Guess, I hadn't seen him in years. I go, what are you doing? He goes, oh, I'm delivering stuff for Kinko's. I go, oh, you're a delivery guy? He goes, no, I'm the manager. I said, well, you need to hire somebody.
Wait, so this is how you got the job? So you don't mean recently.
That's how I got the job at Kinko's.
So John was our boss.
Yep.
At this Kinko's. And so I guess we must have been down a delivery person, and you run into him. You already knew him.
Oh, I knew him from Everett. I knew him. He lived at the party house in Everett, down on 16th and
So
Colby.
You knew old school John Kessler.
Oh, yeah. He was Johnny Boring back then.
Johnny Boring.
Yeah. He had a magazine called Northwest of Hell.
I remember that very well, yes.
I was in a band at the time, The Dregs of Humanity. It was a metal band. We put an ad in his little fanzine that only 20 people read, so we never got any calls for anything. But
was it an ad like we'll play your show?
No, we were looking for a singer.
Nice.
Yeah, we paid him like $4 or something like that.
Hey, that went a long way back then.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially when you had the hookups for copies.
But I continued the punk rock metal lineage in the drivers for Kinko's. It was Derek Harn first, right?
Wait, were you driving or foot?
I was foot, and then I took over for you as soon because you were kind of on the way out when I started.
Right, and I took over the job for Greg Anderson.
I thought Derek Harn did it too.
Derek Harn did it also.
Oh, so there's another one in there. Okay.
Yes.
And Ron Gardapi was the assistant manager.
We were at a pretty phenomenal Kinko's. There's more.
I've never worked at a place. I mean, I'm 47. I've never worked at a place or think I'll ever work at a place that has a group of people getting together like every 2 or 3 years.
Every few years, we get together, a group of people that worked together in the 90s at a Kinko's in Seattle that no longer exists.
For about 3 years.
We were something else.
Yeah, it was the right time.
Never had another job like that.
No, and everybody jumped ship when it sold. It went downhill fast.
Yeah.
Sorry for anybody who still works at Kinko's. It's not the same.
There is no Kinko's.
Well, it's FedEx Kinko's. Or did they get rid of the Kinko name now?
They have a little sign in the window that says Kinko's inside. But yeah, they bought a incredible brand. It's like they bought Jell-O and then called it something else. Like, oh, we wouldn't want a recognizable brand name. We wouldn't want to utilize this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, I think the home printers killed it.
But it's still there.
Yeah. They
may have killed it, but there's one a few blocks from my house that I use. It's just called FedEx now.
Yeah, but I remember when we had to take a class on PDFs. People will come in, it's going to cost them $7 for us to make a PDF out of something. And I'm like, what the hell is a PDF? Why would I ever want to do that?
We had meetings every month, and we would learn about this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And it was kind of incredible. At the time, I thought it was such a waste of time. But yes, PDFs were a big deal. Yeah. You mean they look exactly the same?
Yeah. So you're putting this paper into the computer. Why? I've already got it in my hand. We have a mailbox over there. Why do I need it in the computer?
We have a mailbox. Why do I need it in the computer?
Exactly.
Wait, is that what people would say to you? Or that's the way you thought?
I didn't work anywhere near the computers. I didn't know what I was like. Because I'd get over there and they were all Macs. I had no idea how to use them.
Okay, so I'm a delivery driver. And who did you replace on foot?
I don't know because the person was gone. So I took over for John. But I think Marty might have been there. There was another person. But then the hippie took over my job.
Oh, but that was after I left.
Yeah.
Here's what we do on this show, Kyle. We figure out the day we met, if we can. We try to get it down to a handshake. Then we go back, and I try to figure out who you are and why we would have come together in a place where we would know each other. And then we go forward.
Yeah, that part's easy. Remembering what day it was.
Well, we don't have to remember.
I mean, even the year, let me think.
98?
Let's see. I lived in Chicago in 96, and I moved back around the middle of 97, or near the I lived there for 1 year, so right about the beginning of 97, and that's when I got the job at Washington Mutual. And I don't think I was there a whole year. Yeah, about 98 makes sense. Right around 98.
Just before I started making the movie. Does that sound right?
Yeah, you were talking about it.
I was talking about it, but I hadn't actually filmed yet.
Yeah.
Spring 98.
Yep, there you go.
I was writing it through the spring and summer.
And you were teaching me how when you go on you taught me something that's still useful today in my job. If it's a busy day or a slow day, take the exact same amount of time. And I remember you got caught at the bowling alley playing pull tabs.
Wait a minute. Hold on a minute now. You're piling a bunch of stuff up here.
But it was good though. Some days you take 3 lunches. Some days you get no lunches. It all balances out. That's for driving.
Right. And I think that so the idea is this, just to make sure people understand. We want to maintain, I think I probably used a Star Trek analogy too, right? It's always a hard job, whether it's easy or hard, right? It's always a hard job. Scotty would say, I'm not sure if she can take it, Captain, but she could always take it. So the idea was, if it's slow, you don't want to necessarily, let everybody know that, because if it's like, oh, these guys don't have enough to do on their job, and then if more responsibility was added to the job, that didn't take into account that we could barely handle ourselves on a busy day.
Exactly.
So if you had added that extra work to the busy days, we were completely screwed.
God forbid the Mariners were playing an afternoon game.
Exactly. Exactly. So, but I think that is good advice. It kind of has that like union work slowdown kind of vibe to it.
The other thing I remember is if you happen to, it's so slow that you have to work in the shop, work in the back, and don't make any eye contact with customers. Everybody said you look at them, but you look just above their forehead.
You had no eye contact.
Yeah, you're looking forward, but you just, like, you don't see him. They're kind of giving you a look like, is he seeing me? Is he cross-eyed? I don't know what's going on.
Hey, honest question. It has been 16 years since we were there.
Wow.
Right? 16 years. Do you miss it?
It was a cool job.
There's something to miss about it.
Yeah, I mean, the group of people was just the right place. It's such a weird thing being, Kinko's was one of my favorite jobs.
Yeah. We were a rockin' store. Now, you mentioned me getting caught at the bowling alley playing pull tabs.
Oh, yeah.
So this story...
That's a John Kessler favorite story.
And this is the legitimate version of the story, okay?
Okay.
So we'd be, you were out on foot. I was out in the van or in the truck, just depending on which era it was. So I'm out in the Kinko's van, and at some point during the day, I'd have to stop for lunch. So I had a delivery to Ballard, which was quite a, that was about as far as I would go north.
Was it the church?
I don't remember. It might have been the church.
Yeah.
So I get up there, and there used to be this really cool bowling alley in Ballard, and they had fantastic French fries.
Yep.
So I miss that place. I miss those fries, Now, a thing of French fries for me, that's lunch. So I go in there. I'm going to have lunch at the bowling alley because I'm there. It's a place I don't get to very often. And I sit down, and they have pull tabs. So I'm eating my fries, and I'm playing pull tabs. And all of a sudden, all of these Kinko's people just come walking out of a room that I didn't know existed in this bowling alley. And I'm sitting there in a Kinko shirt with a name tag, with a fry in one hand and like open pull tabs in the other. And I look over, and the boss from this Ballard Kinko's is like kind of looking at me like, what are you doing here? Right. And so he walks by. They had their store meeting in the middle of the day in a spare room at the bowling alley, which is crazy, right?
Yep.
But also now it's like, am I doing something wrong? Like my job included stopping wherever, right? And if I had gotten off, so in my head, I'm like, I'm not doing anything wrong. Because if I had been at the store and walked 1 block from the store to the little diner that had pull tabs, I would have been doing nothing wrong.
Oh, yeah.
So it's the same thing. But that guy called, and I don't remember his name,
I could picture his face.
Called my boss, John Kessler, hot sauce slinger extraordinaire,
That's
Johnny
right.
Boring, and said, your employee was playing pull tabs, was gambling on the clock, Now look, maybe that was the right thing for him to do.
John didn't get mad though at all.
No, but the next day he took me aside and said, hey, listen, I know you're not, I can't remember what his exact words were or something like, I know you're not an idiot, but you got to know about this. Like, someone saw you playing pull tabs. And I told him the same story I just told you.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason why I can remember the story exactly to tell you now is because it's absolutely the truth.
Oh, I don't doubt it. I mean,
so
but you're eating lunch. What are you supposed to just sit there and stare at the wall?
Let me tell you something. That job was stressful and hard and crazy, and there were lots of days where I busted my ass.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes there would be weeks where there was no like break, right? And then sometimes it would be a little bit slower, and you could like have a little bit more chill lunch.
Or your defense, John Kessler taught me the trick. I had to take him somewhere, and he goes, "Oh, we got to stop at Costco and get free lunch." And so we go in there and go up and down the aisles and get the snacks, and we hit everything twice. So,
he had an excellent route. I did the Costco run with John one time, and he definitely could do like this like beeline run to all the free, the free samples.
Well, I believe we were taking the vacuum cleaner somewhere, but he refused to take it to the Jesus vacuum cleaner place. That's one of the other things.
There's a vacuum cleaner place down in Georgetown,
that gives away
right
Bibles.
before, and they give away Bibles, and they always have like a Bible verse. I took the vacuum there a number of times, though.
Oh, he wouldn't let me.
They did good work.
Oh, I'm sure they do. Idle hands.
So really, this will all come full circle for us when we go into a Costco together for some reason and see them giving samples of Infinity Sauce.
There you go.
That'll be crazy, right?
Exactly.
All right. So we met the day you started working there.
Exactly. But we're connected. Talk about going back, though.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we're going to go back. But we're connected how? Through the music scene.
Well, yeah, like Positively Negative was Face First. That was their original name, and Soto was in the band. It was Soto.
Wait.
Yeah.
You're saying that Positively Negative was Face First?
It started out Face First, and then Wretch.
I never knew this until today, right now. This is crazy.
And Wretch, he was in Outright, and then he joined.
Okay.
He joined.
I think I knew that connection.
Yeah, then he joined Face First, and I think it was. I can't remember exactly.
Who in Positively Negative was in Face First?
Steve Ricky, I think. Wasn't Steve Ricky in there?
But that doesn't mean that Positively Negative just adds a member and changes their name. No. Face First becomes Positively Negative.
No. But it was let me think, because they practiced at the Jam Shacks. I can't remember. It was after I had joined that a bunch of people came in and kind of did their thing. But Soto was in the band. I remember that in the first beginnings of what morphed into Positively Negative.
Okay, so here's what I remember about when we started working together. You were saying like, oh, I'm in a hardcore band, and I'm like. And in my mind, because I didn't recognize you, I kind of thought I knew everybody. Like, and it was dumb. Like, this is, like, there's those things where you go, oh, I'm not everything I thought I was. So you represent for me a time when I went, how like lots of different groups of people have used the word hardcore?
Oh, yeah.
The first thing I thought was, oh, it's one of those things, right? I'm like, maybe it's going to be like hardcore electronic music, or maybe it's going to be. And so I remember going like, who do you play with? And I think it wasn't until you dropped Neil's name that I was like, oh. And then I just realized that I had just missed any show that you guys had played and had just been out of the loop enough thinking about my own shit that I didn't know that you were another band in my scene.
Well, and that's Ron Gardapi thought the same thing too. I said, oh, you want to hear my scene? He goes, oh, yeah, sure. Then he came back and he goes, that's not what I thought it was going to be. I thought you were going to be like some shitty metal band.
Right.
I'm like, well,
so somehow
thanks.
You guys flew under the radar and absolutely should not have. Outright, Face First, that should not have been something that flew under the radar. And I think there had just been weird divisions with people. I don't know what it was. I don't know why, but I felt a little bit guilty. Like after, like I realized that, like that I kind of felt like, maybe I haven't been doing my work. Like maybe I don't know.
We kind of got lazy and we're underachievers. It was.
But once I figured out that it wasn't bullshit, I was like, oh, dude, you guys got to be in my movie. You gotta let me use some for the soundtrack.
I got a scene for you.
I've got a scene for you. I'm looking for free music.
There you go.
I apologize to everyone, everywhere. No, but I was really thrilled when, after working together with you for a couple years, I was able to have you guys play the.
That was awesome.
It was
the Paradox, right?
It was the Paradox on the university, and the place was packed full.
Yep.
It got so rowdy, some people got kicked out during the screening of the movie.
Nice.
Right. Now, you guys played after the screening, right?
Yeah.
Listen to this. It was the movie, The Edge of Quarrel, for 2 hours, with a bunch of people sitting in an old theater watching it. Then it was, then did you guys play next, or did you headline?
I don't think we headlined.
Then it was Positively Negative, and then it was Rocky Vodolato.
Yes.
Playing acoustic.
Wasn't there a third man?
I think that was it.
Contingent didn't play? Sorry.
Did Contingent play that night?
We played a lot of shows there, and I remember watching the movie, and I remember Rocky Volato, but I totally butchered his name. Votolato.
It's all O sounds.
Yes, I apologize.
I do a podcast called The Token Asian with a guy that's known Rocky for decades, and he says Vodolato. So it's a Vodolato. What are you gonna do?
I'll just say Rocky.
That's perfect. No, if Contingent played it, I feel really bad because I remember the flyers that just said Positively Negative and Rocky Vodolato.
I can't remember because we played so many shows there, and it was usually us with them. And
it was a fantastic venue.
But
that really was a great place for shows.
It was awesome. And then when it moved to the place in Ballard.
Oh, the place in Ballard? You mean when it moved to Mars Hill Church in Ballard?
I wasn't going to speak its name. But
it's almost like it doesn't exist anymore.
I have to say, one of the greatest local shows I ever saw was at the Mars Hill, and it was Abraham Lincoln Killing Machine.
Abraham Lincoln Killing Machine show at the Mars Hill Church in the main room, the big room.
You were there for that, right?
Was one of the greatest spectacles that anyone has ever seen. It was total chaos.
Shut down by the fire department.
Shut down by the fire department in a church.
Oh, there's a picture.
It wasn't like it was a little hall or a house show. This is a full-blown church and the fire department.
I have the picture somewhere. It's on one of my hard drives. And it's a picture. It's kind of like a weird like circle pit thing going, but it's a big space. And there's one kid running, like turned sideways, pushing a shopping cart.
A shopping cart.
With another person in it. In the middle of the pit is a guy standing there with his pants down and his underwear, just standing there. And there's burning toilet paper.
There's probably
stuff.
Fireworks and toilet paper going off. Naked people, shopping cart. Like I've seen a lot of crazy shit in my life, but
hilarious.
I've rarely seen anything like that. And the show started, so Abraham Lincoln Killing Machine was going to play. They only played however many shows. They asked Greg Bennett to dress up as Abe Lincoln and give an address to the crowd before they played. And then what they didn't tell Greg is that they were going to have Tim get up on stage behind him while he was giving the address and play one of Trial's songs. Trial was completely broken up at the time, and they had not done Reunion. And those two, I don't even think, had really been much in contact with each other. So Greg, in costume as Abraham Lincoln, is doing this crazy person address, and then when it gets done, this Trial song starts, and the band knows it. And Greg turns around and sees Tim smiling and just launches right into it, like doesn't miss a beat.
That's awesome.
I'm standing next to Matt Weltner, who sang for The Answer. Good friend of mine. He's standing right next to me. He looks at me with this crazy look on his face, takes his glasses off and just kind of pushes them against me. And I don't know what he's doing. They fall to the floor and he just runs. He just like basically essentially tossed his glasses and ran for the stage. Nice. So I picked him up and held him for him. But the place went insane. And then they started playing and it was chaos, like until it was shut down by the fire department.
Actually, you know what? I think my band opened up that show. Everything in Ruins.
Everything in Ruins?
Yeah, I think I'm 50% sure. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure because we only played there once, and I think it was that show.
All right, I had to take a little break to shush the dog. All right, you were saying that your band, Everything in Ruins?
I think we played that show.
Okay. Who was in that band?
It was me and Nick Provo, who was in Positively Negative, and Ian. He was in a couple other bands with those guys, and Eric Fry. He was a singer. It was very different. He wanted to sound like the Afghan Wigs, but a little heavier. So it was something.
That's not a bad idea.
No, it was something a lot very different. But that all broke up because the other three became flaky. But that's how bands work.
Because the other three became flaky.
Yeah.
3 out of the 4 people you just mentioned.
Yes.
Yourself included.
I wasn't flaky.
Okay, yes. So that show was phenomenal. There ended up being an Abraham Lincoln Killing Machine CD on Excursion, but I didn't put it out, which is a weird thing.
Well, they brought me a demo that they recorded and wanted me to mix it. This is back when I was in the basement of my house in U District. I didn't know what I was doing. I think I was still in school. And I did some mixing and I did an edit of one. One of the songs was an instrumental, and we put the clip from The Big Lebowski, and it just kept saying, "This is what happens when you fuck another man in the ass," and it just that went through the whole song. And the singer, I can't remember his name, but he thought
when you fuck a stranger in the ass.
Yeah. See what happens? Is it Billy? See, Billy? This is what happens when you fuck another man in the ass. And you hear, "Not my car." But it was just looping for like a 4-minute instrumental.
Right.
I don't know whatever happened.
They had a song called The Falconer.
Oh yes.
They had a bunch of
Hooray, cocaine.
They were insane. And someone said, "I want to release this on Excursion." And I said, I'm not.
I don't think that fits.
I wasn't available to do it.
Yeah.
That's the thing though. It was cool enough and it was people I liked, you know? And he was like, "Oh no, I'll pay for everything." And I said, "Okay, here's the Excursion logo," basically, is what ended up happening.
Nice.
So, I have no idea how far that made it, if anyone's ever actually heard it very much. It came in at a weird time.
I don't think I ever saw the finished product. Well,
there's one around here. I'll show you.
When we moved the studio out to out Duval, where Sean lives, the guy that owns the studio with me, we had Neil come out there to, sorry, I'm going to embarrass Neil Steele here. We had him come out to do vocals, and it was basically a basement, and the closet was where the board and stuff was. And Neil was in the other room, and he had a couple sarsaparillas in him. And there was a big garbage can full of old bottles and stuff in there, and we hear this, We come in there and the mic fell over in that can. The whole can fell over. Everything he fell, and we had a backdrop behind him. It all fell over. Like, maybe we'll have to do the vocals next time.
Wait, you weren't able to just set it back up?
Well, he wasn't prepared to do any vocals.
Oh.
They were trying to add it to a bad demo. I think they might have re-recorded a bunch of it elsewhere eventually, but
So you're saying is that band was chaos at all times?
all times.
Nice.
We played a house party with them.
Tacoma?
No, it was somewhere in the U District.
Okay.
On the west side of the freeway, but I remember they lit some toilet paper on fire in there, and it something happened. It sucked the air out of the room because somebody hit a fire extinguisher at the same time. And it was nobody can see this room here, but it was about this wide and maybe 6 feet longer. This room we're in, and it just all of a sudden in the room there was bits of fire everywhere, and people just freaked out and people running for the doors. And Neil was wearing a loincloth. That's all he was wearing. I remember that.
So they were good. So listen.
Their shows were epic. It was awesome.
You came from somewhere.
Everett.
You came from Everett.
Yep.
So we're going to go back and figure you out. Figure why it is when we ended up working in the same random business in downtown Seattle, we had this shared history that we were able to then build off of.
All right. How far back are we going?
Where were you born?
I was born in Seattle, Swedish. And then I guess my dad owned a little hamburger stand on First Avenue downtown called the Curly Cone. This is when I was born, in '69. And then kindergarten I lived in Cheney, just outside of Spokane.
Okay, so you guys moved around a little bit. Did he close his
Yeah.
He closed his hamburger stand?
He said when they made the pinball machines that gave out money, when they made it illegal, it drove his business. It pretty much shut him down.
So he was running a business that was staying open based on the idea that pinball machines were paying out money.
Well, yeah, because all the little restaurants and it was a little greasy spoon type of thing, but people come in there and play those pinball machines and you win quarters. And he said it was a seedy group of people and stuff, but it was cool. But once those pinball machines were gone, it kind of the whole area changed. They're trying to get rid of the riffraff.
When we were old enough to play pinball, they always had those signs that said "for amusement only" on them.
Yeah,
because they had made them illegal.
Yep.
Payout. I've never seen a payout pinball machine.
Me neither. But yeah, he said you could you play and you could get a quarterback or you get two back. Or, I don't know how it worked.
Instead of free balls.
But I can't remember who. It was a politician that's still around. Gordon. His last name. He hasn't been
Gordon. Slade Gordon.
Slade Gordon. My dad to this day hates Slade Gordon because he was a young up and comer that passed that law.
He screwed your dad out of his business. Yep. Your dad is like the Seattle equivalent of Times Square porno booth operators who got
My dad hates two people. He hates Slade Gordon and Danny fucking Kaye.
Danny Kaye?
He hates Danny Kaye.
I don't know. Who is that?
You never heard of Danny Kaye? He's kind of back in the 40s and 50s. Kind of like a poor man's Frank Sinatra.
From here?
No, he's an actor.
Oh.
He's an actor, made, just cheesy musicals.
No, I don't.
Never heard of Danny Kaye.
Is it K-K-A-Y?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to have to try to find a clip to put up on the blog page.
Nothing special about Danny Kaye.
Nothing. He just hated him? Did they have was it personal?
No, I don't know. I just remember as a kid, my dad, I hate Danny Kaye. I don't know why.
Wow, dude, there was probably drama. Your dad and Danny
I don't
Kaye.
think my dad ever met Danny Kaye.
I thought for sure you were going to say Slade Gordon and Obama.
No.
Okay. So you were born in Seattle. Were you guys living in Seattle at the time?
I believe so.
And then
But that's when I was, before I was 2.
Before you really remember.
Yeah.
And then how old were you when you went to Cheney?
I remember living in Linwood for a year or two, and then we went to Cheney for kindergarten.
You started school in Cheney.
Yep.
And where's Cheney in the state?
It's just I'm going to say 20 miles west of Spokane. It's where Eastern is.
Okay.
So I actually went to kindergarten at Eastern. They had a kindergarten. It was taught by the doctors and upcoming students there. It was like
some sort of commie liberal
crap
out in Eastern Washington.
Some kind of new age. And my parents, I guess there was I remember there being a big mirror on the wall. My parents said it was a one-way mirror, so they could come in and watch.
Oh.
Yeah, it was like half a block from. Anyway.
Some dystopian future stuff, man.
Yeah.
They were watching your progress?
Well, they could come in to see the kids, I don't know. I remember my teacher was Dr. Rich, this lady. But then I started first grade in...
Dr. Rich, and it's a lady?
Yeah, that was her last name. Her last name. It's fragmented memories. But and then first grade all the way through high school in Everett.
Okay, so you were only
Everett.
in this... They tell you it was kindergarten, but you were in some sort of strange hippie compound program where they were testing you and watching you at the age when you would... Were there other children?
Yes.
You remember kindergarten with other children?
Absolutely.
And did you do all the normal stuff, lay down on the rug for nap time?
Oh, yes, and building blocks and all kinds of stuff.
Okay, so interesting. Do you know where those other kids went?
It's funny enough. My best friend there was named Tony Truelove. And fast forward to, I think I was 20, and we had a friend that was going to school at Wazoo. And me and my buddy Dave went over to visit him. It was a football game playing that. And somehow this came up that I had a friend named Tony Truelove. And he goes, I know a Tony Truelove. He goes to school here. And he came over, and it was him, and he was way into Iron Maiden. And I was full 100% Iron Maiden at the time.
Huge Iron Maiden fans.
Yeah.
So
Dude, it was weird. So the programming didn't work. Obviously, they weren't trying to make us Iron Maiden fans.
Or it did work. In order to really know, you'd have to know about all the other kids that were in that experiment you were in. Okay, so after the experiment ends, they take you back to
Everett.
To Everett, and you're in Everett all the way through.
I think that was the real experiment that they're putting me in, is making me grow up in Everett.
Maybe what they wanted to see is there something we can do to make these Everett kids work? Like, can we give them some sort of initial training? Like,
no.
Steep them in Iron Maiden in kindergarten to give them enough strength to make it through public school in Everett.
No.
Well, it was worth a shot. You turned out all right.
Yeah.
You're an adult
eventually
with a business and a wife and a child. I mean,
It took a while.
But, maybe, I don't know.
I was pretty much a full-on slacker until about 22. Then I realized, I need to shape up.
All right, so let's talk about that. What do you remember from grade school? What was leaving the kindergarten and coming to Everett like for you? Do you remember anything about that?
I don't. I remember when we first moved here, though, we're buying a house, but it wasn't going to close for a few months, so we lived in Little Chicago. You know what that is? It's behind the Everett Mall.
No.
It's like affordable housing apartments. It's notorious. I didn't realize
it. Is it still
that
called Little Chicago?
Well, we used to call it that. But I didn't know it at the time until we're out of there. My parents were like, oh, yeah, it was an interesting place.
Did you see anything crazy go down?
I don't remember seeing anything crazy. But then I had a brother. I still have a brother. He's 7 years older. And his listening to music is what got me really into music, though.
At that time in grade school?
I distinctly remember, I think it's third grade. My brother, we're in the Volkswagen bus driving, and my brother's got this package, and it's from the Columbia Record and Tape Club. And it's all of his albums. He starts flipping them through.
So he checked out of the magazine or the comic or whatever. He checked everything he wanted for a penny.
Yep.
He got like 13
albums.
And did he get them on vinyl or in
cassette?
Oh,
yeah, this is vinyl.
Oh, this is vinyl. Okay.
Oh, yeah. And so he's flipping through them, and then the album, I remember seeing the album come up, and it was Destroyer by Kiss.
Oh.
And third grade, Kyle's just like, what's that?
Right, and
eventually he ended up giving me the record because I kept wanting to hear it. And so I became, from about third grade to about seventh, I was a rabid Kiss fan. My dad took me to see him. He's not a big music fan, but he took me to see Kiss in fourth grade.
Oh, wow.
And Cheap Trick opened up for him. It was the Live at Budokan tour.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got to see them in sixth grade with a band called the Rockets. And then
You're covering a lot of ground here.
Oh, yeah, but not much happened in between there. It was all music. I was going to be Ace Frehley when I grew up.
That was your goal.
And there already is Ace Frehley. No.
Oh, you thought you were... you didn't want to be like him.
I want to be Ace Frehley.
You wanted to do something to Ace Frehley and take his place. Or when he died, you would be the new... Like a member of Menudo. You would just come in and...
I remember about fifth grade thinking several times, like, maybe if I get cancer, because that's a Make-A-Wish Foundation thing, and Ace Frehley will come see me.
You're not supposed to wish for cancer. That's not how Make-A-Wish works.
I wanted to meet Ace Frehley.
You wanted to meet Ace Frehley so bad you wanted cancer?
I'm fifth grade. I didn't know any better. I'll just take a pill and get rid of it then.
Now hold on.
He was my hero. But about 8th grade, 7th grade, I started realizing it's not the best music in the world.
Okay, wait. I like this that you have this memory of seeing your brother flip through the records and seeing that
very
Kiss
clearly.
Destroyer was in there. And do you remember the other records? Can you give us like a flip by flip?
Oh, there's got to be like a Ted Nugent record in there. Because I knew what all the records he had. Because when he was gone, I'd go steal all of his records and play them.
Mm-hmm.
And root through all his, just me and my friends would go in his room and go through all the stuff. But I was all about it. He didn't want me playing his records. And so therefore, I need to play those records. I didn't know what's on them. I mean, he had like Van Halen 1 in there.
Nice. Okay. So really what you were drawn to was the makeup and the cartoonish kind of.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Because those are good. Well, I hate to say anything positive about Nugent, but, come on. 70s Nugent. Yeah. And Van Halen 1 is, I love that record.
But Nugent, I refer to him now as America's favorite pedophile.
Sure.
He's a piece of crap. Well, we don't need to go on. Let's not tangent this to Nugent. He doesn't deserve it.
The Nuge.
But
it's okay. Ian MacKaye has spoken highly of Ted Nugent. You can get away with a little bit of 70s Nugent love.
Oh, yeah. I bought every Kiss poster I could get. And I even had like the tour books. And one day for my birthday, my brother and my mom covered an entire wall in my bedroom. There wasn't a space left. But I remember even being a little mad, but I didn't say anything as a kid. They ripped my tour books apart and took the pictures out and, taped them to the wall.
So they thought they were doing you a favor, but they destroyed your tour.
The tour book I wanted to keep.
Right.
But my grandparents used to have to sleep in my room when they came over and stayed. And my grandpa's like, it's like I'm being attacked by the circus. I don't know what. He did not understand any of that, and he was never going to understand any of that.
I still tripped out by the idea of taking your tour book apart and putting it on the wall. It's like, our son loves Superman, so we took this Action Comics comic book that he had, and we cut out all the pictures and put them on the wall.
But like I said, it was a wall this big, and it was from corner to corner.
And
it
this
wasn't
big,
one space. It was
I realize
Kiss.
that the podcast audience can't see the wall you're pointing at or the movement of your hands, but he's talking about a wall that is, standard wall height by what is this?
15
10?
feet, maybe at least. Well, it was a good sized room.
12
feet. Okay, whatever. But it was
which is super cool.
It was the Kiss wall,
which is super cool. I used to do that with skateboarding pictures in high school, and I had a room that had every available space that was just skate photos. But still, if someone had come in and taken my skate magazines that I had not cut up for that purpose and decided to do it for me, I probably would have lost my damn mind.
I was mad, but I wasn't going to cause a beef about it.
You're a nice kid.
But I still remember it. It's like, I wish, but I got over it. I got over Kiss.
You got over Kiss in the 8th grade, you said?
Yeah, about 7th, 8th grade is when I realized I was still kind of trying to cling to it, but yeah.
Now hold on. So you're a kid in grade school, and you're going to start 74, 75. So you're coming up before 80, you're in grade school. You've got an older brother who is exposing you to music, doing his job as an older brother. Any other family members?
Oh, mom and dad. That's it.
Mom and dad.
Yeah, just the four of us.
What kind of, I want to know the environment that you lived in. Like, did you take a bus to school or did you walk to school?
I walked.
You walked
all the way through high school.
How far was it to grade school?
Grade school.
We're grade school now.
3/4 of a mile.
Long when you're that age.
But there's a whole bunch of kids that lived in the same neighborhood. We all went through high school together, and we'd all walk together, walk back.
Neighborhood kids.
Oh, yeah.
That you knew your whole life. Well, up through school.
Yeah. But most of them I kind of went the metal route and listened to alternative music, so we kind of parted ways right when it started getting around high school.
Sure. That makes sense, but these were kids you knew. I mean, you guys probably played neighborhood games.
Oh, yeah. All the time.
Were you mostly friendly, or were there enemies in there?
A few enemies there, here and there.
Did you fight?
No, I never fought.
You were not ever a fighter?
No.
So if it was the weekend, grade school, but like 4th or 5th grade, where you could still get out and move around a little bit and do something, right?
Yeah.
What would you be doing with these kids?
Like in grade school?
Yeah.
Oh, we were out. Well, we lived right near Grand Park.
Uh-huh.
And there was this big bank that went down to the train tracks, and we had forts and stuff down there. We'd be down there. And
so you guys were down by the train tracks building forts in the woods and shit.
Oh, yeah. And jumping on trains and
throwing
rocks at trains.
Wait. You would actually hop trains?
Oh, yeah.
Did you know anyone that got run over?
No.
See?
When the train started moving, we all jump off and tuck and roll.
Are you telling me that there was a time in this country when possibly dozens of unaccompanied grade school age children could run around by a train and jump on it and throw rocks at it and like probably hit each other with sticks and like fall, and you somehow all lived and grew up?
Mostly.
Weird.
Yeah.
Man, I wonder what having an entire generation of kids who have no idea that that's possible is going to be like.
Well, like my buddy Ward, his dad's a doctor. He says, kids got to eat dirt. They got to eat a little dirt.
Gotta eat dirt. Ward, who worked with us at Kinko's.
Yeah, he was supposed to be here filming this.
I wish he was here. I haven't seen Ward for a long time, and he's a true hero of mine.
No, yeah, I think it was 8th grade that I went and saw Sammy Hagar.
Wait, are you going to tell me that Hagar took you off Kiss?
It was my stepping stone because my brother listened to him.
Are you trying to avoid something? Because I'm still talking about being a little kid.
No.
You gonna keep me from hitting on something?
Me as a kid, up to about 8th grade, it was all about Kiss.
It was all about
and
Kiss.
being a rock star. I was going to be Ace Frehley. I was going to be on stage.
Did you put makeup on your face?
Oh, yeah. We had friends. We would all dress up, and my parents bought me one of those little Sears. It was a Glenn Campbell drum set. And, of course, I made a Kiss logo and taped it right on the front. I wasn't going to have no Glenn Campbell. But I did start getting into Cheap Trick because I saw them open and like, oh, there's another band.
Oh, and that was the first show you ever went to?
Yeah.
And you were how old?
4th grade.
4th grade, and your dad took you?
Yep.
And you
took me and 2 friends. No. That time was just me and him. But the second time, I got to bring 2 friends.
Where was it?
Seattle Center, or the Coliseum.
The Coliseum. Okay. And what do you remember? Do you remember having to wait a long time for it to start?
Dude, I remember being out in a line with, just thousands and thousands of people way bigger than me and just being like, it was like Christmas and the 4th of July.
What time of year was it? Was it cold or was it hot?
I don't think it was hot because I was just wearing a t-shirt. I was wearing my Kiss shirt.
Okay.
That's probably one of those yellow ones with like the iron-on rainbow Kiss letters.
Now, obviously your parents weren't worried that Kiss was satanic.
No.
But a lot of people were.
Yeah. I had friends say, it's kids in Satan's service.
Yes.
Like, no, it's Kiss. It's like, I never understood.
But everything stands for something. We have to somehow...
It's music.
We got to start incorporating fear into everyone's lives all the time.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So you went to that show. What do you, like... This was the first time you saw people play live music on a stage?
Oh, yeah.
And did you have impressions from that? Were you like, I am going to do that?
Oh, dude, it just made it even more. That is awesome. It was just... And of course, the Kiss concert, it's just like... When they did the reunion tour, I went to the reunion. And I brought a friend who hated Kiss and everything. I'm going to buy you a ticket because I want you to see this thing. And afterwards, he goes, it's the most professional thing I've ever seen in my life. Because it's every cliche thing you think they're going to do. They do it. It's all, and when you get older, you realize it's all staged. Everything's just, yeah. I read a biography of Ace Frehley recently. It's actually a pretty good read. He talked right about that time when I was into him. It kind of bums me out. He goes, that's when every day in Kiss was a chore. He goes, the rock and roll part was gone. You couldn't go up there and just, do your thing. You had to be in this spot at this time. You had to be doing this at this time. You had to do this and this. And he said, that's rock and roll.
Yeah.
That's reality. But 4th grade Kyle wasn't, thinking about reality. I was picturing myself up there. Sure.
That's awesome. Okay. So that's cool. I always like to know about, that clearly had a big influence on you.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and so you weren't a troublemaker. You were just kind of like a average kid in the neighborhood.
Yeah. About high school, I kind of became a little bit of a troublemaker.
A little bit of a troublemaker. Well, let's do junior high.
Junior high.
Because you said that's about the time when things change, right?
Yeah, I started listening.
Oh, tell me, this is something I want to know, especially since, the new movie has been out. And this seems to be, for people our age, this is kind of a big, big moment. Star Wars?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember going when it was first out?
Absolutely. My brother was forced to take me to see Star Wars. It was like the week it opened before it got
you went
huge.
like first week?
Oh, yeah. So we're just like...
Do you remember seeing the advertisements on TV?
Yeah.
And being like, oh, what is this?
I want to see that. Yeah. And my brother wanted to go, but he didn't want to take his brother. But he had to take his brother. That's probably the only movie I've probably ever seen with my brother.
Oh, yes. Well, that's nice. That's a nice memory.
But I remember Empire Strikes Back.
Much more clearly. You were probably, 4th, 5th grade?
Yeah, and I was like 10th in line at the Everett Theater, and we sat out there for 8 hours. We got there first, and we got interviewed in the Everett Herald. Waiting to see it.
Waiting to see Empire. So, did you know what you were getting into? Like when you went into that movie, had you heard anything about?
No.
So how did you react? Like
I thought it was awesome. It was the greatest thing I ever saw.
Aram told the story on this podcast about how he cried when Han Solo got frozen. Like it made a huge scene and had to be taken from the theater. And then they took him back again and he knew it was going to happen. And the same thing happened again. He's a bit younger, a little bit younger than us, but at the time it would have been really like impactful. It was his favorite guy.
And then Return of the Jedi, I saw that at the Everett Mall. And we waited about 3 or 4 hours to get in. And me and we got in like the last
You're
people.
junior high at that point.
Yeah, and we didn't get to sit next to each other because it was so packed. It was
wow.
sold out. That one I was like, it was awesome until the Furbies came out.
Till the Ewoks.
Yeah. I know that's a big contention. It's just, it was just too.
I just wish they would have made the Ewoks what they would have had to actually be. Because this is something that Matt and I talk about on his show sometimes, is that the Ewoks actually are like little murderers. I mean, they eat human beings.
Yeah.
Like they're little tribal. They've got sharp claws. They sharpen sticks. They have like primitive weapons.
They put them on the spit.
They put them, they were going, and until they believed that C-3PO was a god with powers, they were going to eat all of the main characters. They're cute.
They should have ate Han Solo.
Yeah, I see. If you could have made the movie a little more realistic, you could have seen a little more Ewok murder. And then that would have made them cool. No one would be like, yeah, those cute, stupid little bears. If you'd actually seen like scenes of them with like bloody meat hanging from their teeth, like chewing up a body, that would have been awesome.
Sam Raimi should have directed it.
That's my version. That'd be an Ewok spin-off movie where they're vicious.
Well, Harrison Ford wanted to be. He thought they should have killed Han Solo in Empire Strikes Back.
In Empire or Jedi?
No, it was Empire.
Oh, really?
He wanted him to. But
what are you gonna do?
Yeah,
Spoilers.
But
you saw the new movie, right?
I did.
Okay. We don't. Yeah. Most people have probably seen it by now.
I have comments, but we don't need to go there.
Oh, okay. This isn't a Star Wars movie episode. I enjoyed it. Whatever.
I liked it.
Okay, so that for people our age, that was a really, really big deal, right?
Yeah.
And there were a lot of actually incredibly cool movies. Were you a kid that got to go see horror movies?
Oh, my parents took me to the drive-in to see The Shining.
Oh.
They swear they don't remember it, but I remember being in the back of the Volkswagen bus looking up and it's kind of like, ooh. It's still one of my favorite horror movies, though.
Yeah?
It's good.
It's
cool. Creepy. I like everything Stanley Kubrick's done, though.
Right.
Like Dr. Strangelove. That's one of my top 5 favorite movies.
And did you like that when you were a kid?
No. I never saw it. My parents, they're like, I don't know about that movie. I like that movie a lot. It's really well done.
What about other like stuff like Phantasm and all the like slasher movies?
Yeah, everybody got excited for Phantasm. It didn't do it for me. The movie, the other movie that I remember seeing at the theater that really I was just like was Terminator, the first one.
Oh yeah,
I'd never seen anything like that. Nobody had.
It's incredible.
And it's like
the first Terminator is awesome movie.
When he pulls out the book and starts just, he's going to kill every Sarah Connor. That's just like,
it's not
on a mission.
It's not just the Terminator robot at the end. It's every little part of that movie that is awesome. There's stuff in that movie that I still refer to because I write screenplays, right? I'm talking to people. I love when they're asking questions about the time travel. He's like, I don't know. I'm not a tech. Like they just got around so many problems with stuff like that in the writing, but I love it.
But it's just
it worked. That kind of thing worked.
But up to that point, the scene in the movie that got me was when he looks and he knocks on the "Are you Sarah Connor?" and you're like, he's not gonna. Boom, kills her.
Yep.
Then he's moving on to the next one.
Yeah, and just loaded the gun at the counter at the gun shop and shot the guy.
Yeah. Comes into the police station and just takes them all out. It's just a great movie.
Well, with the classic line, "I'll be back."
Yeah. The Governor.
So yes, that was I didn't see it in the theater. I saw it on HBO or a movie rental, a little bit later when it came out. But
no, I saw it in the theater and we were just like, awesome. That's the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Oh, it's lucky. I wish I'd seen it in the theater. Okay, so junior high, you start breaking away from Kiss, and it's what did you say it was that pulled you out? Hagar?
Well, I started listening to like the Scorpions, Sammy Hagar, and then I think it was about my freshman year. That's when I saw maybe it was 8th grade. I'm trying to remember the 8th or 9th grade. My best friend Chuck, he went with me and my parents to Disneyland, and we're staying in a hotel. I remember this very clearly. And me and Chuck are in this bed, and they're in the other bed, and it was MTV. I'd never seen MTV before. And it was the video for Number the Beast. And me and Chuck are just like, wow, that is awesome. My parents were like, they didn't care.
Right, they weren't, but you guys were just like blown away.
Yeah, then I got into them like Judas Priest and stuff. And then I started listening to like Dead Kennedys.
So how do you make the jump from Iron Maiden and Judas Priest to Dead Kennedys?
The group I hung around with, we all listened. Everybody listened to metal, and then a lot of them listened to like.
And these are just people you hung around with in school.
Oh yeah,
these weren't neighborhood kids.
Yes, I went to school with some of them, but it was the North Everett group that I kind of gravitated
and
towards.
How did you find those people?
Some of them I went to grade school with, and then when you get older, you start going your ways, and then you meet new people in the path that you went on. And so my friends lived across the street from the high school, and I had a lot of friends who were really, into Dead Kennedys and Black Flag, and then like Skinny Puppy and all.
Oh yeah, Skinny Puppy.
Skinny Puppy never did it for
That's
me.
Okay,
That's
did it for
one.
me. But here's the thing though: there were music videos for Iron Maiden. There were metal kids that listened to Judas Priest. These things were in the culture, and they were more understood. They were major label bands that were doing big tours. There was money in it, so they were, they
had the promotion.
They were the fake alternative mainstream culture, right? Metal, right. It's. I mean, it is real in its own way, but it's not like they were still in the same commercial aspect.
Yeah.
You say Dead Kennedys and Black Flag. Now you're talking about real underground hardcore coming from not on major labels, coming from nowhere stuff.
Yeah, and I liked it when I heard it. I was like, oh,
but who awesome. In your group made you all make that jump to that? Because it's a jump. Like
it wasn't though. It was like a blend.
You felt like it just really. So your group just, and that's got to be an Everett thing.
Oh yeah, and people listen to a lot of different. Like I remember, like the guy that I write with now. I do music licensing at the studio. My buddy Pete Barcott. I went to high school with him. He was a grade younger than me, and I remember I think I was a sophomore. He was a freshman, and it was in gym, and there's Pete standing with his boombox in the gym, and he goes, Kyle. It was me and Chris Nelson said, come over here and listen to this. And he played, and he had just picked up Ride the Lightning. It just came out.
Oh yeah.
And he played Fight Fire with Fire, and I listened to him going, holy shit.
Wait, no.
I had heard something a little bit from Metallica before, but it didn't sound anything like that. And and that's when.
And this is prior to you listening to Dead Kennedys,
No, that's when I had started listening to punk music.
So kids were just bringing cassettes of anything to get a hold of and just playing it for people in the halls.
Well, I had friends. Well, that's the only guy that ever played for something for me in the hall, and I'm just like, me and Chris Nelson were just like, holy shit, that's fast. Because that was like. For me, that was like kind of a cross between the two. I mean, I like Maiden, but this was thrash that was kind of, a little more ramshackle. But it was tight, but it was just, this isn't radio. You're not going to see this on the radio. You're not or hear this, and you're not going to see this on MTV. And I was like, I like that. But then I started getting,
Until just a couple years later, you did see them on MTV, and then they lost.
By then, I didn't like them.
Yeah, okay.
I liked Master of Puppets.
The funny thing about it is only a few years, but it seemed like a lifetime.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if you look at the history of Metallica, who are still with us today.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that time from the early 80s to them being on and Justice for All, right?
Yeah.
It's a very short period of time in the big scheme of things.
Record. It's unlistenable. And Justice for All.
And Justice for All is unlistenable.
The mix is just, that's another story.
Do you remember when One was on the radio just constantly?
Oh, yeah.
That's all it was.
And by then I had moved on to other, I started getting into like No Effects. Guys in PN turned me on to stuff like that, the Southern California, kind of pop punk or that type of stuff.
When you said the guys in Positively Negative got you into No Effects.
That's where I started hearing, because I do the, the big, the really underground, like Dead Kennedys and all that type of stuff, and Subhumans and, whatnot. Sex Pistols, obviously.
Right. So when did you start playing music? When did you realize the dream and say, okay, I'm going to do this?
I got a guitar in like 8th grade. It was from a friend with like a Sears little crappy amp. My brother had a guitar and an amp. He had a Marshall and a Les Paul, and I was like, ooh, So I wanted that. So I don't think I started playing. My first band was in high school. It was just two of us. It was called Scurvy. That was the name. And we tried to write thrash songs. We never played anywhere or anything like that. And then out of high school, I started bands with 2 other guys, Oliver Little and I can't remember the other guy's name. Everyone's going to give me crap. But we were Grumble. And our goal, this was just out of high school, maybe 19 or so. I don't think we're 21. Yeah, we might have been. I might be jumping up a bit. But our goal, we wanted to play. We wanted to start this band, and we wanted to play with Nirvana. This is before Bleach had came out.
Right.
We wanted to play with that band because I liked what they were doing. We'd seen them play and stuff. And then Bleach came out. We're like, oh, we're not gonna get that gig, but we wanted to play with them.
You started Grumble to play with Nirvana.
That was my
Did
goal.
you guys sound like them?
No. But that was kind of the sound, by then I'm going to shows all the time and I'm hearing that Seattle sound.
Were you digging all that stuff that was happening, all that early Sub Pop stuff? There was a lot of cool stuff happening.
But like I said, when
there
all that
were a
was
lot of shows I'd go and I'd kind of stand there with my head cocked to the side, not really even knowing if I was enjoying myself. And I look back at some of the shows now and I'm like, yeah, that was cool. Well, and every once in a while I'd see a band like go see the Fluid. They'd come to town or whatever, and it'd be like, "Oh, that band was amazing."
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I was never into Pearl Jam. Alice in Chains didn't do it for me. It was like Nirvana, that Bleach album. I really liked that. And then the other bands were like, like 7 Year Bitch, or do you remember?
They were always good.
Do you remember what was the all-girl band with Carrie Canary was the singer? The little short girl. Someone out there knows what I'm talking about. She sounded like Lemmy, but she was about 4 feet tall. The girl guitar player always wore like a clown outfit. But
I hate that I'm not able to say who this is.
It's gonna pop up, and then
they were from here.
Yeah, they're from Seattle. It was it's killing me. Oh, Dickless. Okay. Them. Because it was in the days.
I never saw Dickless play live.
But you could go down to Pioneer Square and pay $10 and get into all the different clubs. And you see just all different kinds of bands, too.
You paid one cover to get in all the clubs in Pioneer Square in downtown
Seattle. And they're all playing different kinds of music.
That's fantastic.
And then, going to see great shows like Poison Idea, stuff like that. Shows at the OK Hotel. There's some awesome bands there. Sweaty Nipples. but all those but thing is though,
Sweaty Nipples, you said it, so that means on the blog page for this I get to put that video for Chicken Snake or whatever it is.
Now here's the thing about a lot of these bands, they were alive bands, you know what I mean? And then when the record came out, like the Sweaty Nipple records, it's like like there's a band
like nope.
Fits of Depression live, dude. He'd play his guitar and he'd jump up and stand on top of his half stack. He'd jump up there and stand and just rock it. It was a great show. But when I got the record, as I say,
I couldn't capture the energy of it.
Bleach had it. Bleach captured it. Yeah. I remember seeing them. I remember seeing them at the first annual Lame Fest at the Moore Theater. It was Mudhoney, Nirvana, and Tad, and it was just an awesome show.
That is a really great show.
It was awesome, and I like Mudhoney and all, but everybody really liked Mudhoney and thought they were the band that was going to be. They never did it for me.
I liked Mudhoney.
I like them better now.
Yeah, you look back.
I like them a lot better now. I think because all my friends, if you didn't, in your circle of friends, if you didn't like something that everybody liked, but you just haven't listened to it enough.
I saw them with Danzig at that show at the Underground when Danzig toured on the first album.
Okay.
Did you see that show?
No.
Oh, it was great. It was in the University District.
Nice. I remember when we used to skate. We used to skate in the U District. We had a path. We'd start at the right at the entrance to the University of Washington, and we'd cut through the school and we'd go through Red Square and we'd end up back at the parking lot and we'd loop back around on the Ave. We'd do that in the middle of the night all the time.
When you were skateboarding?
Yeah.
Okay, when did you start skateboarding?
Sophomore, junior year.
Yeah? And
kind of fiddling around, but it was like after I graduated, we'd come down to skateboard all the time. I was never any good at ramps or anything like that. It was street.
Why did you start skateboarding?
Everybody else was. It was fun.
How did you get your first skateboard?
Bought it at Tim's bike shop.
What was it?
A Gator.
Nice. Yeah. All right. Did you know the trucks and wheels?
They're independent trucks, I'm sure, because that's what everybody you had to have. You had to
have indies, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And people have a hard time remembering what their wheels were.
My buddy broke it.
He broke
I
your
lent it to him
gator?
and broke it. Never got me doing that. Kind of ended my skateboarding career.
Really? So you had one board the whole time?
Well, no, I had a couple really bad boards, but the real board was the gator.
Okay. So that was your first. You're not even going to talk about the bad ones.
Oh, but I was thinking.
So you had a Nash?
Oh yeah, probably. I had a banana board way back when.
When you were a little kid.
Yeah.
When we were little. Yeah. I don't even count the banana boards as the real skateboarding.
Well, yeah, you learn how to stand up on it though.
Yep. Basic stuff.
No, but my point was when we skate through the E District and we came across this shoe store. It was I don't know what shoe store it was on the Ave, and there was a band playing, and it was Green River, and we didn't know who any of them were.
Was it like Woolly Mammoth or something?
I don't remember. I remember us coming in. This band's playing. They're like, "Hey, this is our first on our shoe store tour. We're gonna play at the Kinney's at the Aldenwood Mall next, or some mall or something." And then later on, I'm like, then we found out who that was. Years later, like, hey, we saw them, didn't we? We only watched a couple songs and left.
Sure.
It was a band in a shoe store.
All right, so you're playing. You're out of high school. You're playing in this band, Grumble. You don't get to play with Nirvana.
Never played any shows.
We played
with a drum machine.
So
we thought that was cool.
When was the first time you were in a band that played a show?
We started a band with, I went to school with a guy, Darren Milsom. He was a year older than me. And then I met his brother, who was in a band called Desdemona. They were like a thrash band in North Everett. They were the first, you know where the Jam Shacks are in Everett?
I don't.
Well, there's a place called the Jam Shacks. It's storage units where bands practice.
Sure.
They've been practicing down there for 30 years. He was in the first band that practiced there. And so somehow we hooked up, and I joined a band with them. And it was a metal band. We called it the Dregs of Humanity. We stole that there was a TV show with Jason Bateman. He had his own TV show, and I can't remember I can't remember the name of the TV show.
Jason Bateman?
Yeah, it was about it was while Family Ties was going on, or it was after Family Ties, his sister's show. That he had his own show, a sitcom. He was like 17 or something like this.
I don't know. I can't remember it.
I can't remember, but anyway,
we'll figure it out.
They made a fake band. And it was like these big puppets with black sheets on them, and they were the Dregs of Humanity. And so Jason, that's what he wanted to name the band. So we were
it's like calling yourself the River Bottom Nightmare Band.
Exactly. Or the Soggy Bottom Boys.
Oh, there you go.
No, so that was the first real band. The first show I ever played in front of anybody was at Jimmy Z's in Everett, and it was packed. And I was like, and I believe.
And you were playing guitar?
I'm going to admit this. I'm pretty sure I had a tie-dyed shirt on when I played.
What year was it?
90, May 89.
Oh, I know. If it was 89, that was totally acceptable. Like 88. I have a 1988
recollection of me ever, but I have
7 Seconds T-shirt that was tie-dyed. That bands were putting out tie-dye shirts.
It was a band shirt, but I don't remember what was on it. But I think back, it's like, what was I thinking?
Lots of people. There was a whole thing, man. I had a skateboard shop from 87 to 89. Halfway through the run, a guy came in and said, I want to consign my shirts here. And we sold tie-dye shirts to people in the skateboard shop. So, yeah, it was a thing.
Yeah, I know. I probably had a Mambo sock, too. But
so your first show, you played a tie-dye shirt.
Yeah, but it was packed. I don't know who we were playing with, but it's like for about a minute before I went on, I was like, I can't go up there. I can't do it. I can't. Then I did it, and it was fine. I lived. I had glue feet.
Who'd you? Yeah.
In there, and I even sang a couple songs. And I can't sing.
Who'd you guys play with?
I don't know, a bunch of Everett bands. Who knows? I played way too many shows at Jimmy Z's.
Okay.
So I played with them that's why I lived with Jason, the guitar player, and our drummer Tony. He passed away probably like 10, 15 years ago. We played maybe 3-4 years. Because like early 90s, Positively Negative practiced near us. And I started becoming friends with them. And then their guitar player was going to go on tour. He was in Dumped, another Everett band. Yep. He was going to go on tour, and they wanted someone to fill in. And it was like, sweet, because their drummer was a really good drummer. Tony was a good drummer in our band, but Steve Ricky was really good. It's like, I want to play with a really, really good drummer. So I told them I'm going to be I'm going to do that. And Jason didn't have a problem with it, but the other guys in the band was like, you're cheating. It was like, you're cheating on us. I go, it's an open relationship. It's rock and roll, man. And so then I started playing with them, and they played they started playing shows like at the Lake Union Pub.
This is Positively Negative.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then when we played the Lake Union Pub, it was like, I'm digging this. This is a lot more fun. And then eventually the other band kind of died out.
So where does Slick 50 come in?
Slick 50 was after Positively Negative broke up.
Okay, so there's multiple breakups and reformations.
Well, because we had different members. I think it was Mo and there was a point when the other guitar player came back, so then we had 2 guitar players. And then there was a point after about a year, maybe half a year in the band, I finally told them, I was like, I'm going to quit. It's either me or him. I'm not going to play in a band with that guy anymore.
Oh.
Because he's an idiot. I'm not going to bring any names up or nothing.
But everyone knows what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah. They all know. They'll agree. He had a fit at, we were supposed to play a show at the Lake Union Pub, and they bumped us to last. It was like, big deal. And he went out with a bat and broke the meter out the club, and he started throwing beer around and stuff. And it's like, after that, I said, after the show, I'm done. I go, you either kick him out or I'm quitting. So they got rid of him, and then things went better. Like,
so what year is this?
Early 90s. And then the drummer and guitar player moved to Portland. They started a band called Iowa Hawkeyes. We ended up touring with them once. But so then we're going to find a new drummer, and we said, let's just start another band. Let's just do a 4-piece. Guitar, bass, drums. And so we got Jim in the band. He joined, and we called it Slick 50. And that's when I did my first real tour with them.
Okay.
We did the U.S. in a month.
You went with Slick 50. You went on tour for a month.
Yeah.
And did you have the 7-inch out when you went on tour?
Yes.
Okay, so
we recorded it at his house. Yeah.
Right. How'd that go?
It was interesting.
Was that an eye opener? A U.S. tour?
The tour was awesome.
And what year was it?
Got to be like 93.
93. Okay.
94. Because I quit Slick 50 to move to Chicago with my now wife. Because things were kind of fizzling out on that. So a bit about 94.
So you met your wife and moved to Chicago?
Yep. Because she, we'll get to that.
Oh,
so
okay.
we did the tour. It was cool. It was an eye opener. But I did the smartest thing. Before we went on tour, I bought $150 worth of McDonald's coupons. Oh. So we had food. We wouldn't have eaten there would have been a week or two where we didn't eat if we didn't have that.
And they were all coming to you and saying like,
"Oh no, it was for the band. It was for everybody." But this is before Super Size Me. We all came back we had gained weight. It got to the point where we would only buy breakfast. We'd buy a bag of like sausage McMuffins or something like that in the morning and eat those during the day because we couldn't stomach anything else. And they had the Monopoly game going, so we had like 50 of the playing pieces.
But you'd win free food on that sometimes.
Well, that was the bad part. We're like, I want French fries. We didn't want to eat McDonald's anymore. I don't think we spent it all either. It was brutal. I still can't really eat a McDonald's anymore.
Oh, we did a lot of Taco Bell 93 when I was at Thundertail.
And the way we decided, if we come to a town, where we're playing a town that doesn't have a McDonald's, it ain't worth playing. It's not a town. Because they were everywhere.
What towns are there without McDonald's?
Oh, there's some out there in the Midwest. There's little burgs that are called, it's a big world out there. It's a different world.
McDonald's to McDonald's across the country.
But it was cool. It was eye-opening. Because I lived in my little area, then going into the South, or
you
going
got to
to
see
New
a lot
York
of other
City.
types of people.
Yeah, we played like at ABC No Rio.
Oh, wow.
In New York. That was cool. We played
saw the most brutal fight I've ever seen in my life outside of that place.
We saw a dude walking down the street with no pants on and a machete.
We're outside of ABC No Rio?
Oh, yeah.
What a wonderful neighborhood.
Me and Rich just watch it. When the van pulled up, because it's a Food Not Bombs place, the van pulls up, and instead of a windshield, they got a big rectangle piece of plexiglass glued to the van. We're like, what's up with the windshield? Oh, someone stole it. Like, it's a different town, man. Things are a little different here than they are.
It's different again. It's like,
oh yeah,
it's been a long time. I mean, we're talking about over 20 years since the story's.
Well, yeah, we went there again in early 2000. PN did a full tour, and then we played CBGBs and played some, and it was about as successful, same kind of tour, but
yeah,
it was cool.
New York seemed 10 years later, or whatever it was, 8 years later, New York was a lot different, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
Cleaner.
Weren't people trying to get into the van at night? We were in Brooklyn the first time, and we slept in the van, and someone working on the door.
While you were in it?
Yeah. Someone always sleeps in the van. Everybody should do that once. At least drive around the country.
Oh,
go to the South and see what's really going on there.
Right.
It's a different planet.
You don't have to cross a border into another country. You've got to see how other people live. Just get a little bit of an idea about what's going on in the world. Right. So when you're sitting in your armchair making your really smart comments about politics, you at least have some point of view.
My
right?
wife always says I'm exaggerating, but the band can back me up 100%. When we were in Eastern New York, Olean, I think it's Olean, New York. We're playing in it was an ice cream shop, but it's a little teeny town, and they're like, 2 hours, maybe 3 hours from New York City, and all these punk kids, none of them had been to New York City. None of them to see bands. And then we're
3 hours away.
Yeah, we're sitting in the table, selling shirts and stuff. And the girl goes, "Where are you guys from?" "From Seattle." "Is that in Cleveland?" We're like, "Well, no, it's Seattle, Washington." "Well, where's that?" And Rich just looks at her and goes, "Go away." But we got it so many times. You say Washington, and they're like, no clue.
Yeah,
no clue.
in the middle of nowhere.
And like I said to Rich, I go, I wasn't the greatest student in school. I didn't pay attention. I barely graduated just because I was lazy. You couldn't name a state and me not be able to stick my finger right where it is on the map.
Or at least
Kentucky, I might be an inch off.
But at least have known that there was a state called that. Yeah.
Or someone says Oklahoma. Huh? Who? That in Canada? What? We're like, say, it's north of California. They like Alaska? No, there's a country in between Alaska and our state, Canada. But we got it so many times. It's a different world. When you say Washington, it's D.C. But now I think with the interwebs now,
yeah.
And that tour was like, both those tours were book your own fucking life.
Right. Book your own fucking life.
Okay, it.
It was good.
But the second tour, the second full US, we did it with a MapQuest because I had got a computer now, and so I printed out directions from each point, and I had a big folder with all these.
So you used the computer, but you still had to print everything out and put it in a folder.
Oh yeah, and it was
Fantastic.
fucked up.
It was
because that was like the beginning of MapQuest.
But it wasn't like you just we're going on tour, get the McNally, the Road Atlas, and
that would have been smart. No, we're going to use the computer. Because, somehow I ended up being the driver in both Boston and New York and just driving around in circles trying to figure out where the hell we were. But it all worked out. Nobody died. But
yeah, you made it.
Yeah.
Okay, so wait, hold on now. The band breaks up and you leave with your future wife to go to...
we met on a blind date.
You met on a blind date?
My ex-band member from the Dregs Humanity came to see us, and we were playing at the Riviera in Linwood, which is now Buca de Beppo. And we were opening up for Joey Shithead, DOA.
DOA, oh.
And there was like 20 people there. And so they brought her to try to hook up with me, and she said, "Oh, hi, nice to meet you. Well, I'm going to go play." And then she's from Sweden. She likes ABBA. And she saw I'm sure she was very unimpressed with what I was doing. And so afterwards, nice to meet you.
But then if she liked you, she legitimately liked you because she hated your music.
Yeah. Well, and then she had to leave because she had an interview that night, and it was for a job in Chicago.
Oh.
So then, my friend convinced his girlfriend to tell her to invite me to their Christmas party. So me and Tony went to a Christmas party. She worked for some, office, I think, Quest or something. We went to the Christmas party, and we were definitely the standing out. I think I'd bleached blonde hair, really short by then. It could have been red. I don't remember. But it's kind of a fancy schmancy house, and he takes us into his wine cellar, and we're all standing there. This is my first real date with Britt. He's like, "Oh, and here's the da da da," and I go, "Where's the Thunderbird?" And everybody in the room just goes.
Wait, they didn't laugh?
Oh, Tony did. Tony's like, "Ah!" And the dude just gives me a look, then looks back and continues talking.
I would have thought it was funny.
I'm the guy from Everett. Didn't know better. But anyway, then I took her to a show at the Lake Union pub. Played with I can't remember who we played with, but it was rowdy. People were spitting and throwing up, and Lake Union pub stuff. And I figured if she likes me now,
if she'll
can like me, whatever.
If she can put up see
with
my
that.
life.
Exactly.
And, apparently she did, because you're still with her, right?
Yeah, we're married. We have a child.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
But you went to Chicago. She got the job.
Yeah, and so Slick 50 wasn't really doing anything. It was fizzling out. And they told me, when I told her she was moving to Chicago, "You're going to move with her." Oh, no. And finally I said, "That's not a bad idea." So I lived in Chicago for a year.
For 1 year?
Yeah. It was almost exactly a year.
And what the hell did you do in Chicago?
I worked the door at a club called Mother's 2.
Mm-hmm.
Just, checking IDs. And then I got a job at a place called the Great Ace. It was a gigantic, huge Ace Hardware, but it was like they sold furniture and everything. It was kind of like a little small IKEA.
Oh, wow.
So I worked there, working in the back room and loading stuff into people's cars. And we loaded up, what's his name? R. Kelly came. And we loaded all the crap in his car and he didn't tip us. So we all made fun of R. Kelly. A couple of guys from the Chicago Bears came in. They gave us big tips.
Nice.
I was there for when the Sonics played the Bulls in the championship.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked the door that night and I wore my Sonics hat. I did the Sonics proud. And everybody there was trying to tell me that Jordan's throwing the game so they could bring it back to Chicago. You're stupid. He's not throwing any games.
Oh, you mean because that whole idea that the series needs to go...
He wants it to go longer so they can win it at home.
Right, win at home, and also because every game that gets played is a certain amount of economic... There's
nonsense.
a lot of people that make money off the games. And that makes sense, but that's not what happens.
No, because they're making enough money. They don't want to lose a game. And then, because I said, like, the Sonics didn't fall backwards into the playoffs. They earned their right to be playing the Bulls. They could be, but I did see how the police work in Chicago compared to here.
You saw how the police work.
Yeah, so the bar that I worked at, it was it's like 2 blocks of bars on both sides. It's like the place where everybody goes. And so I was in charge of this big pane of window. And that's when you see all the crowds after the championship, they gather right there.
Mm-hmm.
There's thousands and thousands of people in that 2-block area just going nuts. And I started
flipping
noticing
cars.
But they weren't flipping cars, but I noticed the cops started lining up with horses, and they had they had billy clubs and helmets and short sleeve shirts, and they're just standing there. And the guys on the horses, and they kind of blocking off certain streets. So you can see they're gonna push a group down this street, a group down this, and disperse them. And they said, "You got 2 hours. We're shutting it down. This is what time we're shutting it down." And then they kept telling it every half hour. And
they gave lots of warnings.
Then they got down to about 10. You have 5 minutes to disperse. And so then the first line of cops start walking in like this. They start walking, my hand is moving left to right here.
Like this.
It's like a wall of cops. And then there's a group of people that they're walking towards. And you can see most people are, okay, it's time to leave. But there's like 100 people there still doing their thing. And one guy's out front about 20 feet further. And he's just kind of shaking his head and talking smack. And the first cop gets up there and just goes with the billy club.
Just billy clubs him.
And
Boom.
dude, streets are cleared within like 5 minutes. But I'm just like, holy shit, did you see that? And we're like, yeah, that's what they do.
And you're just working the door.
Yeah, I'm just like, holy crap, that's harsh. I wasn't expecting that, but it just, boom, done.
One
Problem
down
solved.
and everyone else bails.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
But I thought I was going to be there for like another 4 hours.
And how quaint now that's how it's handled.
Yeah, exactly.
They didn't even have riot shields?
Nope.
They didn't bring a tank in?
Nope.
And just...
So a bunch of dudes looking to get this over with and go home, I think.
Right. So then you get the opportunity to come back to Seattle.
Well, yeah, because I tried, I put ads in all the little zines and stuff looking to play in a band, and it was brutal.
Out there it was brutal?
Yeah. I was very specific. I wanted to do that kind of Fat Records style thing. I wanted to do something, I put Legwagon, No Effects, that kind of style, maybe Good Riddance. And I got people that come over and I talked to them on the phone, and they're like, yeah. When I met them, they never heard of any of those bands.
They just wanted to get together with you and play some music. Well, and you couldn't say Screeching Weasel?
What if they would have said that? It would have been great. But like this guy, he wanted to meet me, and we lived in this apartment right in the middle of downtown, and there was a bar downstairs. And so I said, meet me at this bar. I didn't want him to know where I live. I had talked to him like 4 or 5 times. His dad owned an apartment building. They had a big jam space. He had guys together. They wanted to do a band. They were all stoked. We talked about the band, and he talked like he knew exactly what I was talking about. So he shows up. I meet him at the bar. He's sitting to my left. My wife is to my right, and I'm sitting at the bar with him talking. I start getting this weird vibe about this guy. And I go, so what do you do? He goes, well, I'm an artist. I do everything. And Britt's like, well, look,
I'm an artist. I do everything?
Yeah, and Britt's like, what, like painting? Oh, yeah, painting, sculpture, music. I go, well, how long have you been doing music? Well, I just kind of started, but I know I need to be a singer. And that's when I'm like, oh. So I go, okay. I go, what is your all-time favorite band? What is the band that you want to hear? He goes, oh, that's easy. REO Speedwagon. And I just stop, and he goes, I like how they start out and they start, and then they shift gears, and then they really shift it into fourth gear at the end and just start rocking. I go, I got to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. And I came back, and I sat on the other side of my wife and just stopped talking to him until he left. I was so... That was the last person I let come over, and I was so fucking mad. And,
I'm an artist. I do everything. It's
and
insane.
When he left, Britt goes, "Who's REO Speedwagon?" And I go, "Oh." She goes, "That's not what you're into, is it?" No, it's not. But of all the things that were going to come out of his mind, you know, I thought maybe he'd say, you know, Metallica or anything. I wasn't expecting REO Speed, but I was so mad. I kind of left my wife talking to him and then he finally got up and left.
It's when they really shifted into fourth gear, though.
Oh, but he goes, yeah, they really shifted down, and then they start rocking. Like, what the fuck? Who did I talk to on the phone?
Yeah. Who did they send in his place? So how do you come back?
Yeah, I moved back like 2 or 3 months before the wife, and then I got the band back together.
And you guys weren't married yet?
No.
Okay. So you come back and say, "Hey guys, I came back for you."
I said, "I'm coming back. Let's do it." And so they found another drummer and guitar player, and it started up again.
Okay. And was this the version then that I knew?
No, the drummer and guitar player. We did one EP with them at Hanzig Audio.
Uh-huh.
And that was about, you may have been doing stuff there. That's right before. No, I didn't know yet.
We clearly crossed paths multiple times throughout the 90s.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until neither one of us paid attention to the other person.
Yeah, until
Kinko's. We
Kinko's.
were in that Kinko's. And then it was like, and you didn't say, "Oh, I know this guy," and I didn't say, "Oh, I know this guy," but we knew all kinds of the same people. So we were just, we were just in the same spots, but...
Yeah, we did a couple EPs at Hanzig, and then we did a full length down at Lastra, with Mike Lastra in Portland. He's done a bunch of Poison Idea records. And
the Hanzig Audio was this great spot. Across the street from that Mars Hill Church that was talked about before.
But I liked the full length we did, but it just wasn't the same as the stuff Hanzig did.
Ah, I see what you're saying. You did the 7-inch was what you did at Hanzig.
Yeah, we did 2 7-inches there. And
Chris Hanzig has his own way of doing things.
Yeah.
He's great. Yeah.
And it was we did, most of it was live. We did some overdubs and stuff. He got the best out of it. And it had a little more edge to it. It's just,
I quickly came to trust Chris that if he said something needed to be a certain way, I could go, "Well, it's Hanzig," and just let him make the decision. And it was, and there's been very few people in my life that I felt that way about.
And it was recording with him is what got me to want to start doing recording. I've always been interested. I was big on the liner notes, reading the who produced this and who engineered this, and I thought that's cool. Once I realized I wasn't going to be Ace Frehley,
and you're like, I can still get on this list somehow.
And then recordings that we did before and stuff, I never was really happy with them. I liked the Hanzig stuff a lot. And then we did one more album. We recorded it at the Autopsy Room. This is near the end. Near the end.
Now, Autopsy Room is Jesse O'Donnell.
Yeah.
Down in Tacoma.
And then we didn't like it, and we were looking at Jesse, but I realized now it had nothing to do with him. It was us. It was the beginning of us not giving a shit, really, because some guys in the band were just kind of half-assing it. They weren't, into it like we used to be. We had a label that put out a record, and they said we could do we do a Europe tour for us. 1 month, 30 shows in 30 days.
Your record came out on a European label.
Yeah.
Which label was it?
Mad Skull Records. Very small guy, just puts out bands he likes. But he was in a band called Brezhnev. They're been around for a long time. But he was gonna do a European tour. He'd provide the van and the back line, do 30 shows in 30 days, and all we had to do was get over there. And nobody in the band could get their poop in a group. 2 of us had passports, and that was it. And nobody else. And that's when I started and that's right when we went into the studio to record the next one. And we didn't like it. So then we went to another place where we recorded before, a friend of mine's studio, and re-recorded the entire album. And by the end of that, our drummer said, "I'm going to quit."
You just all hated each other after that?
Well, we didn't hate each other, but we could tell we were just... And then we all kind of I don't want to look for another drummer. Let's play a last show. Let's end on a high note. So we did end last show, and that was it.
You played the last show.
Second Avenue Pizza.
I thought you played your last show in Everett, and I filmed it.
No. Second Avenue Pizza.
Your last show was Second Avenue Pizza in Seattle?
Yep.
Then what the hell did I film in up in Everett. I thought I filmed something like Jimmy Z's right at the end.
Oh, Jimmy Z's wouldn't have been near the end. We got banned from there. We got banned from there a couple times, actually.
I have a positively negative show shot, I think, from 2 cameras.
Nice. I'd like to see it.
Yeah.
No, Ward.
It's around somewhere.
Cohen was at the last show at the Second Avenue Pizza. We have film of it. All it sounds like is
Cohen. We did not mention. Cohen is a guy that we worked with at the Kinko's on 2nd Avenue when we worked together, who was just seriously like king of the world.
Cohen's awesome.
Cohen's awesome. A drummer.
Yep. I was in a band with him for a few minutes.
I was supposed to be.
Me, Robbie, and him. It was supposed to be Ron Gardaby, too, but he kind of bailed on it.
There have been multiple, I believe, incarnations of that supposed to be band. And at one point, a Ram, Arslanian from Canada, and I were also supposed to be involved in that. And it was going to be great. And just different things happened.
Well, yeah, we went.
Totally understandable things happened.
Oh, yeah. Well, I went to jam with Cohen, and I brought Robbie, the old bass player from Positive and Negative, who can write songs like that.
Mm-hmm.
I've mixed a couple records of his already. He does everything himself, and so I brought him down. And
wait, is this Rob Minimarts?
Yes. Mr. Robbie. He's in like 4 bands in New Orleans right now.
Sure.
The brains behind Ikari.
Yes.
I have their next record in Pro Tools. I'm waiting for vocals to come get done. Robbie already recorded it and sent it up.
Nice.
Got to get mixed, and then Neil's going to come and do vocals.
I came and did backups with Neil on
That's
that,
right.
on the first one, on that one. Ikari.
I told him told him they should have named it Pettibone. Because they kept putting out vocals because he was supposed to come in and do backups. They kept waiting
They
and
should
waiting.
have named the band Pettibone?
No, the album. Pettibone. So that way he's actually on the album.
Oh, well, if he needs backups again, I'll have to try to drag him out.
No, with the Cohen thing, though, we came in there, and Robbie wrote like 10 songs in 2 practices.
Oh,
and then
wow.
we recorded it. We went to my studio. It's called Les Paul Stanley. And all the lyrics were... It's actually pretty... One of these days, I'm going to remix it. We're going to release it. We got pictures of Robbie. He put on a Paul Stanley makeup, and Ward made some like pictures of it. It's like the rock and roll over, but it's him. I told him to wear the makeup. He was already in New Orleans. I go, do Les Paul Stanley makeup, run around the block about 4 times, get all sweaty, wearing a wife beater, and it's him. Dude, you got to see the picture. It's awesome.
Well, will you send the picture to me so I can put it on the blog page for this episode?
I will.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I'll show it to you. It's good.
So we did allow this to go kind of past where we met, because normally we come up to where we meet and then go, okay, so now we understand who you are, and we pretty much did that. You came back from Chicago, you started the band up again. Britt, your wife, comes back. She moves back also.
Yep.
You get the job downtown, and then you run into Johnny Boring, and he says, "Come work at the Kinko's I'm manager of," and then boom, we're friends.
Bada bing.
Just like that, and you were just like, "Cool dude, right?" Oh, and then you gave me the dead fish handshake all the time.
But it has to be cold.
You're the master. Kyle is the master if you go to shake his hand. And I'm a big handshake guy. I always have been. And he gives you the limpest, like...
Well, if I can get my hand on like a cold beer or a cold glass, then it's wet.
Like for you, it's a matter of pride, right? Just give someone
I don't do
wet,
it nearly
cold, clammy...
I don't do it as
limp.
much as I used to, but...
Oh, you really did, though.
Yeah.
And I probably like lost my mind the first couple times. Don't do that.
Or the little tickle.
No, I don't think you ever gave me the little tickle. Awful.
And the problem is I have a daughter now that's exactly like me.
Oh,
Same
you've
sense of
raised...
humor.
Well, what do you think, man?
It's mini me. Much to my wife's dismay.
So,
Dismay.
to her demise?
Dismay. I said dismise. I made a new word.
Dismise. Yes, it's dismay to death.
It's good on microphones too. It's got a lot of sibilance in it. Dismise.
Okay. So then I learned my lesson. I learned that I don't know everything, that there's been this whole history of Everett that I haven't been paying enough attention to.
You paid enough attention to it. It's Everett.
I suppose I did. But you guys, you get involved. You let me use the music for the movie, which is awesome. And that was probably maybe even around the Hanzik time, because I ended up editing the movie at Hanzik in the middle of the night. He let me come in when, as long as no one had locked out the studio, I could come in after the band stopped at like 10 or 11 and stay overnight and edit on
you
video
sleep on
editing
that
stuff
old
he had.
leather couch by the window.
The leather couch. And at one point I had a cot in there, because when I had to finally do the digitizing where the computer would tell me like, okay, this is going to take 6.5 hours.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do anything. I couldn't touch the computer.
Oh,
So I basically hit start, set an alarm, just go to sleep.
And hopefully it didn't stop in the middle.
At least once it did.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. There were a lot of mistakes with it, but then, the movie came out. I sent it to some festivals, and I was going to have the VHS come out just a few months after, and booked the thing at the Paradox, and you guys played it.
It was awesome. It was fun. It was a good movie. I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Whatever, dude.
I enjoyed it.
It is.
I still have a
people
copy.
know. Yeah, I mean, it's out there. People can check it out, Like
I heard it's in Spanish now. Or is it over?
There's a Spanish version that is dubbed into Spanish by professional voice actors.
That's awesome.
That is, and that's up online for free. People can go to YouTube and see that version of it.
That's awesome.
It's way better than my version because the people doing the voices are actually pros.
They're actors?
Yeah.
Not your friends?
No. But even though it's still my friends doing the physicality,
Yeah.
like the voices are more confident in a lot of cases.
Nice.
Not everyone. I mean, some people killed it in the original version. What are you going to do? But yeah, that was a fun process. And then I leave. I go to work a real job. You left Kinko's.
I left Kinko's and went to school.
And you went to school. And what did you go to school for?
Audio engineering. Got a degree at Shoreline.
You went to, okay. And you got a degree in audio engineering.
Yeah.
And you started a studio in in the basement of your house in the U District?
I met Sean, my studio partner, at school. We met in Theory 101, music theory. And we realized that he said he played a bunch of notes. I had played trumpet before I played guitar. And I realized I didn't remember theory. He goes, if you can't tell me all these notes, you're probably not in the right class. I'm like, so we had to take a pre-theory class. So me and him both admitted. A lot of people didn't admit it, and they had lots of trouble in theory. So we did that class with him, and then you have to find partners in the class in different projects. Usually in the first year, you're just editing, doing all the boring stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then we started recording bands there. Then we set up a little studio at his house, and we started, getting a little bit of track. We didn't know what the hell we were doing, though. It was really bad gear, and we thought, we were still under the fix it in the mix phase. Every engineer goes through it. And then then I finally sold my house in the U District. We're buying a new one, and I told the wife, all I want is a basement.
So that was the deal.
Yep.
We'll get whatever kind of house, just as long as I have a basement that I can record in.
And I found the one in Wallingford, and it took us about 3 years to build the studio.
Right. And I've been in that studio. It's really nice.
Yeah, it took a long time, but it's done. And now, we've fine-tuned it. We really got it down.
So what is your studio called?
Jam Recording Company.
Jam Recording Company. Is Jam an acronym?
Well, it sounded cool because it was Jam, but the guy that helped us we couldn't have built the studio. We couldn't have built the stool, or we couldn't have built a stool, but we built a studio. We couldn't have done it without my buddy Jerry Mitchell, and he's J. Allen Mitchell.
Right.
And so I called it Jam Recording Company.
Well, that's cool.
He gets free recording for life.
Free recording for life? For what? For doing like carpentry?
Oh, no. He would come in and say, okay, we're building this wall. Here's what you need to do. Here's how you need to lay it out. You need to do this and this. And so me and Sean would do the work during the week. And the weekend, he'd come in and fix what we did wrong. And he'd tell us about, decoupling the floors, separating the walls. There's so much involved. People look in there, it's like, well, it's just 2 rooms that are split together, but there's so much inside because we had to be soundproofed right. Can't have any vibrating.
Right.
My joke is if we ever move out and someone buys the house, that studio is coming apart in 1-by-1 sections. Everything is liquid nailed. Everything has a 3-inch screw every 3 inches.
Oh, wow.
Everything. And it's all double walls, double ceiling. It just, floating floor.
So you record in there?
Yep.
You have rates, you got out. People can book it out.
Yep.
They can bring in their own person, or they just work with you?
They can bring in the person. It's usually just me or Sean, but if they want, they can come in. I mean, it's a Pro Tools system. We have a digital board.
Okay.
It's pretty straightforward.
Oh, I've been in there. I've worked with you.
Yeah.
It's more professional than some studios I've been in for sure. It was very good. I would recommend. I'm not a recording inclined guy. I don't know all the details. What are the details that someone looking to record would need to know about your studio?
It's 2 rooms. We got one live room and then the mixing room. Got 24-channel digital board. Got Pro Tools HD2 system, the standards, lots of outboard gear. We have a 24-track 2-inch machine, but it's going away soon. We're going to sell it.
You are?
I want it. I like using it, but it's just tape's too expensive and bands don't want to bands want to do mini takes. You don't do mini takes on tape.
Right.
And you get,
That's old school.
You get 15 minutes per reel, and the reels are like $350 now. They used to be $120.
Can you do anything with those?
I could tell you to put those in Tupperware. Don't leave them in those boxes. Those boxes deteriorate.
Well, they've been in those boxes since 1989.
Take them out. Get them in a Tupperware.
Wait, put them in Tupperware in the boxes?
No, take the boxes out. Put the actual tape in a Tupperware container.
Right, so you don't even want the boxes in the with them in the Tupperware.
It's the boxes. There's chemicals in some of those boxes, and they eat the tape. I went to a big seminar, and they talked about that. How there's warehouses of like in L.A. of all these tapes in those boxes that are its history is just disappearing because they're in these bad boxes. A lot of these tapes aren't going to be playable.
All right. So what I'm pointing at is the reels for the infamous First Step from Bellingham, straight edge band. They're recording, and they're sitting up there on top of a shelf in my office here. And I don't even know, what is that, 3/4 inch?
That's like 1 inch.
That's 1 inch tape? You can't do anything with that.
I can't, but what you'd want to do is take it to somewhere like London Bridge and have them bake the tape. They'd bake it, and they could throw it into a Pro Tool session for you, if it's still usable.
Yeah, I don't know those people.
Yeah, they'll charge you like $150 to do it.
Really?
Yeah.
And then what? I would come out with just the digital files I could do.
Yeah, you'd have a session. And anybody could open up the session and bounce it down for you.
There's stuff that's missing on there.
Yeah.
But someone could probably figure out how to play the parts.
They'd be one of the best to do it.
All right, I may pick your brain on that because certain people have wanted to hear what's on those tapes all these years later, and I don't know that it's $150 worth of curiosity, but we'll see.
Well, everybody throw in $25, and tell them what you got. It's an easy thing for them to do. They cook it in this machine for I don't know how long.
What does that do? That just salvages what's there?
I think it. I don't know the chemical properties of what it does, but
Come on, man! You went to school.
We didn't talk about tape. We didn't talk about baking tape. We talked about MIDI and gain stages and all the boring stuff no one wants to hear about.
Okay. All right. So, and speaking of boring stuff no one wants to hear about, this probably counts. So we'll get off of that, and we'll talk about you. You do this studio,
yep,
and you also have some other things that you're doing. You mentioned earlier that you do some commercial.
Yeah, music for licensing.
Music for licensing. And is that what Hit Chasers is?
Yes. Well, the guy that I told you about that played Ride the Lightning for me, he got a hold of me 2 years ago, about a year and a half ago, on Facebook. Said, "Hey, Kyle." I was friends with him on Facebook. Said, "Hey, you remember me?" I go, "Of course. I know. Hey, Pete, how you doing? Whatever." Peter. I was calling Pete. He's Peter. Peter Barcott.
His name is Peter.
Peter Barcott.
Okay.
But he wanted to know if he could come in and watch me record so he could learn how to record better. He's got a little setup in his living room and stuff. And at that time, me and Sean decided we wanted to get into licensing. It's a little, doing little cues and stuff and try to pitch them. And it turned out everything I did sounded like an old punk Ramones song or a metal riff. I was like, we're not going to be able to write any of this stuff that they want. And I remembered Peter is the guy who played violin. He taught him, he could play Yngwie stuff on guitar. He could play any instrument back in high school. And I'm thinking, hey, let's have Peter come in. We could trade riffs for teaching him how to record. And he came in and just started, we're kind of thinking about something like this. And he'd play it. What we're talking, the idea.
You just had that language to music.
And he had hours of complete songs that he had already written and recorded at home. So after about the second day, I go, okay, let's go in on this 50-50. Me and Sean and Peter will do 50-50. And so we've been writing songs for TV and film. We go through a company called Taxi. Mm-hmm. It's an annual membership, and they have like a rally that you can go to every year, and the professionals telling you what you need to do.
Well, and you got really excited. I talked to you right after you got back from one of those, and you were so amped.
Dude, they're great. And the thing is, getting into it, you have to know there's a lot of competition out there. And it takes you about 3 or 4 years to gain traction at it.
And the idea is you're putting this stuff into almost like a pool that it can be selected from?
No.
No?
This company, they have leads. There's a lot of companies, but here's what people are looking for. They're very specific. And it's $5 a submittal. That's to keep you from sending everything to it.
Right. They have to put some money on it so you don't just blanket them.
Exactly. But what it is, they're the middleman They get like, 100 submittals, and they give you a review of it, and they're very, very critical. Not many get through unless it's perfectly. So we've had about 15 forwards, and like all the people, what they say, all these conventions you meet, people have made. There's a guy that sent around his BMI statement in one of these classes, and he made 50,000 last quarter.
Right.
He's got something in everything, but he says the motto that you'll hear over and over is write it, submit it, forget it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just keep writing until your catalog gets big enough. I mean, I think we got like over 50 songs written now in different cues and little bits.
And the idea is that these are the kind of songs that would be in the background in a car commercial or a
TV, film,
anywhere.
Video games. Every single thing on TV has music.
Yeah.
And somebody's writing it.
And some of it has vocals and some of it is instrumental?
Yep. But it takes a while for you to figure out. You got to remember, it's got to be what they call universal lyrics. So it can't be talking about LA or my red pen or driving my Ferrari. It's got to be I'm driving around thinking about stuff. It's got to be, because you make film. If you have something going on in the background where they're talking about specific things in music, it detracts from you.
Sure.
But it has to have that vibe. And they give you like specific samples of music that it's about the groove that they're going for. But it took us a while to figure that out, but we're getting better at it. We're not pitching as much, but the ones we pitch are getting through.
And so you guys get together
3 times a week usually.
3 times a week.
Yeah.
And then
for about 4 hours.
And okay. And you already have all the equipment there to record, and
yeah.
you're just doing this as a team. There's 3 of you.
Well, it's basically me and Peter are writing and recording it all, and Sean does the mastering.
Okay.
Because he lives out in Duval. He masters everything that goes through Jam. If they want it mastered there, he does the mastering. He's got a little mini studio out there with the same gear.
But so you really think that eventually this could be your main gig?
It'll be part of the gig. There's money to be made. We did sell a song to The Good Wife.
Oh, wow.
But it was kind of through a weird way. There's a band that got contacted by NBC and wanted a song for their finale. They wanted them to do a cover of a New Pornographer song. And I can't say the band that they contacted.
Right.
Because the band came to me and said, we want you guys to do it, and then we'll come and sing over the top of it, and we'll split the sync fee with you.
Oh.
We're like, okay. So I called Peter and said,
so
hey.
then that they didn't have to do the work of getting, they just wanted
he said they don't play very much anymore. He says, there's no way we'd get it done. They
Right.
came to us on Monday. They needed it by the next Monday.
Hey, this is already so identifiable that someone can get in trouble from this story.
No.
No?
No, they won't know. They can't figure it out because it didn't get played.
Oh.
They bought the song, and at the last minute, they switched to something else.
Oh, okay.
But we still got paid for it.
That's cool.
But we wrote the song. Well, I called Peter and I said, hey, can you do this?
Your early stuff, you always get screwed that way. Would you have made more money if it had gotten played?
No.
Oh, okay. So it's the same to you.
Because the thing was, it was a work for hire. It wasn't an original. So we just got, we said we want half of the sync fee. And it was all right. We made some money. But,
do some more of that.
But Peter was like, he goes, I'd give the money back. I wanted to hear it. Because Peter did all the parts. He wanted to hear it himself on TV.
Okay, so there is an artist who still gets hurt here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing I told Peter when he first started doing the licensing with us. I go, before we go further, I want to make sure that, let's say you work on this song. It's something you've been working on for a long time and you finally get recorded. Do you have a problem with it being on a tampon commercial? And he goes, hell no. I go, we can work together. Because licensing's different,
Like Joey on Friends being the STD guy or the herpes guy or whatever.
Exactly. Whatever. It's a paycheck.
All right. That is fantastic. So, okay. So but there's you do some, I don't want to say this wrong. Is it YouTube or is it a podcast?
Well, yeah. Ward, the guy that we talked about before, who, want me to mention, he was in a band called Dry Gulch for a couple months.
He was in Dry Gulch with people who, wait.
There's a picture in my studio.
I don't know if anyone in Dry Gulch, Greg Bennick was in Dry Gulch.
Bennick was the best man at Ward's wedding.
Greg Bennick was the best man at Ward's
wedding. It was at the courthouse. But
Ward is a missing component in my life. Ward, I feel like, should be a absolute genius crazy millionaire, and a crazy millionaire, the one that does things where people go, oh yeah, someone's gonna get hurt. Some of Ward's ideas, there isn't anyone else in my life who has the kind of ideas that Ward would say into my ear every single day at that Kinko's.
Ward's got all kinds of ideas. We have to keep him reined in on the Hit Chaser thing.
And I say this, I mean that as the greatest compliment I can give. That kind of crazy is very special, and I cherish it.
I got to tell you his latest movie idea that he wants to do.
Wait,
he told me not to tell you, but I'm going to tell you after the podcast.
Okay, after the podcast.
Because someone will steal it. It's genius.
Oh, I have no doubt it's genius.
So, anyway, Ward would come over and watch. He was over there while me and Pete were doing this, you know, and he goes, you guys should film this and put it on YouTube. We're like, okay. And so we start, kind of figuring out how to do it. And eventually me and Pete are like, you film it and you do all of it.
So he does the YouTube version of what you guys are doing?
Yeah. We first did it where it kind of just, it was very nuts and bolts type stuff, which is boring. Nobody wants to see that. So he films like us bullshitting with each other, where he asks us questions. You never hear his voice, and it gets us talking about other things. So it's kind of tongue in cheek. Sure. But it shows, the process of us writing these songs, and we read the reviews that we get. We talk about the songs that we sent out and stuff.
Well, that's cool. So we can link this to the page also, and people can see what you guys are doing, because I'm sure there's some people out there that think this is very interesting. I think it's very interesting.
When we got our first 100 subscribers, we thanked each one individually. And we thanked every country. It took us about half an hour.
Wait, your first 100 subscribers to the YouTube channel?
Yeah, we read every name. We even have a green screen now. We're getting fancy. But it's all filmed on iPhones.
Wait, so you film it on with the iPhone? Like we were talking earlier.
We do the
like
audio,
that movie Tangerine, is that it? Did you feel like they ripped you off?
Maybe a little. But the audio we do on iPhones, eventually I'm going to get some nice lavalier mics and stuff, but they're expensive.
You have audio equipment.
Yeah, but we don't want to sit there with a mic in your face because we're going about it. We don't want to stop mixing and then hold up a mic.
All right, so you're actually working. You can't have this other stuff, but
eventually, get some money. If we get some money off it, then I'll buy a nice lavalier mic so you can hear it. Because that Ward always says, the dialogue doesn't sound as good as the music. Yeah, it's all right. Wait till we make some money, then we'll make it awesome.
That's that work ethic.
Yeah, I want to sell the songs.
So you've got that going on. What else, or where do you go from here?
I got lots of recording. As soon as I went 2 years without a job, just doing the studio. Then it slowed down, so I took a 9 to 5. And as soon as I got that stinking job, everybody wants to record. All of a sudden,
as soon as you're not available, boom. Yep. You're a busy guy.
I get stuff I got to mix tonight that I'm probably going to put off till tomorrow.
Feast or famine, brother.
And then I have a session this weekend.
Good.
And then I got a couple things going next week. It pays. I mean, they're paying gigs.
Well, I'll put the information in the blog page so people can,
$35 an hour.
$35 an hour.
That's for mastering, everything.
All right. And I know people.
Weekend rates will do like $350 for like 10 to 11 hours. So you get a couple extra hours if you book a weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not
and plus
I'm not a clock Nazi either. I like, it's for everybody's benefit that everything gets done right.
Sure. And you're bringing, that doesn't just pay for the actual like space and the equipment, and that pays for your decades of experience.
Well, and like my teacher said this in school too. It's like, if you're getting into engineering to become rich, go do something else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like my degree in audio engineering is like having a degree in archaeology,
right?
Ancient history or something.
I think Steve Albini was talking about this in something I saw recently.
It's anything to do with music. If you get into music to make money, you're going to have a life that's very sad and boring. But you can make money in the process. So it's got to be from your heart. You got to love it.
With writing, they talk about how you can't make a living, like screenwriting, right? They say you can't make a living, but you can make a fortune.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like, you still have to write like you're making a living in order to get to the place where you make the fortune, right?
But if you stopped writing, you'd die. If I stopped doing something with music, I'd be like, what am I doing?
We have to do something with our lives.
Yeah.
Every moment that I'm awake, I don't think of what is this moment worth monetarily, right? Some hours are worth a lot, and some hours are worth, whatever. It's just whatever the enjoyment that you got out of them.
Yep.
So, yeah, you're right. I guess I can't say I've never been paid for any of it, but I've mostly not been paid for writing, but I've been doing it for years and years.
Well, playing in bands, it all went back into the gas tank.
Exactly.
But yeah, the studio, I'm a long way from paying it off, but, I do it because I love it.
Right.
No fool's going to make a studio in their house to make money.
You've learned now.
Every studio in town, they did it because they love it. Not like, ooh, I know we can make a ton of money.
It's like you're driven to do it.
Exactly. I got to do something. I don't feel like touring anymore.
Yes.
Because you don't make any money on that. But it's just, that's a lot of work. I like doing what I'm doing. I'm around bands and music, all week long. That's what I want.
Yeah, it's just enjoyable. I get it,
But if Ace Frehley if he still calls me and wants me to play his guitar, I'll get up on stage and play his guitar for him.
If wait, are you still holding out? Because
No.
remember, you didn't want to play like Ace Frehley. You wanted to be Ace Frehley.
After reading his biography, I'm not sure I want to be him.
Yeah.
I like to just shake his hand once.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a good book. He was best friends with John Belushi. It's an interesting read.
I'll bet.
He's lucky to be alive about 4 or 5 times over.
Oh God. So he dodged that bullet, huh?
Yeah. Well, the bullet didn't kill him.
Okay. So it's not even a matter of getting out of the way. He just survived the shot.
Exactly.
Oh God. Well, dude, I think we have come to the end.
Excellent.
I will say, is there anything else you'd like people to know? Any misconceptions you'd like to dispel? Or if anything we talked about that you're worried you want to make sure that people really understand what you meant?
I'm not worried.
Not worried about any of it?
I didn't use any names.
Well, how do people contact you?
Kyle at jamrecordingcompany.com.
Kyle at jamrecordingcompany.com.
Or if you go to jamrecordingcompany.com, all the contact info, phone number and everything's on there.
What about Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, LinkedIn, all that stuff?
I'm on the Facebook. I'm on Instagram sometimes.
Okay. So all those things that we can put those up on the
page. The
Hit
Chasers are on everything, but I don't handle the Hit Chaser side.
Okay.
That's Ward.
We'll still link it.
Yeah.
People got to know.
I'll send you the links to all of it.
Perfect.
And we got a SoundCloud page with almost all the licensing stuff we did. All the stuff's on there.
So people can check it out.
And you can hear our country songs. Writing country songs is a bitch.
I'll bet it is.
But the country songs are the get, though.
Oh, really?
Most of the country listings are for producers. And you think, oh, country, listen, it's easy. But then when you start getting into it, it's all about the story. And you get in your own way from writing a cheesy story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just, it's hard. And the production is just like crazy. And we did a song, I think we had 20 tracks of acoustic guitar playing the same part over and over just to make it sound country.
Yeah.
Because it's way, way overproduced. But as soon as you send it, the singer's not authentic and the lyrics aren't quite right.
The singer's not authentic.
You can't slip it past them.
Right. That's too bad.
But
I'll link up that SoundCloud page too if you're cool with it.
Oh yeah,
so
absolutely.
Check it out. Well, dude, thank you for coming out here tonight. I appreciate it.
No problem.
It was a good seeing you, buddy. Oh, and that was a nice good grip, man. That shake was good. I almost feel cheated. I didn't get the dead fish.
I'll get you back.
All right, well, there you have it. Kyle Fletcher. Good dude that I know. I'm happy to talk to him. I'm just going to go right into some quick corrections. As usual, it's not really corrections, but we weren't sure about a couple of things, so let's at least correct the record on them so we know where we stand. Contingent did not play the Edge of Quarrel show that we talked about at the Paradox. It was actually the video release party for the movie. It was in May, and it was just the movie and Positively Negative and Rocky Votolato. And I actually threw the flyer for it up on the blog page for this episode, so you can go check that out if you'll want to. The other thing, we were talking about the Jason Bateman sitcom, and Kyle was trying to remember what it was called. I didn't know. It was where they got the name The Dregs of Humanity. I found the clip from the sitcom with the Dregs of Humanity show with the puppets that he was talking about. So that's up on the blog page also. And this show was called It's Your Move. That was not in my brain. I would have never remembered that in a million years. I did not know he had a show called It's Your Move, but he did. Jason Bateman, It's Your Move, 1984 or 5 or something. So that's that. That wraps up the episode. It's episode 25, and I've got more coming. There's ton of people still on the list, and the list is actually growing longer every day because we're just about into the time when I can start bringing on people from the early 2000s, and that is going to expand my possible guest base quite a bit. We're going to hold off for a little while, but yeah, there's going to be some people soon. My plea, as always, to you is to go to iTunes and rate the show. Give us 5 stars. Write a little review on there. Let people know about it. And if you're not going to do that, just share it on your Facebook or on your Twitter or whatever social media. Let people know, hey, I like this show. Seriously, like that, it just makes me feel great. So if you would do that for me, that would be so awesome. I would appreciate it. And then all the other usual stuff that I always say, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Nosy Nobody. Go to the Nobody's Knows Facebook page. Do all that stuff. And, you can find out about stuff. Listen to my other podcast, The Token Asian, and listen to the other podcasts that we have coming that we're not ready to announce yet. All right, more things coming in this year, 2016. It's going to be a good one. Rainfest just announced Stay Gold's playing. Like, yeah, I know Indecision, 108, and Burn, and a whole bunch of other good bands are playing, but Stay Gold's playing Rainfest. It's going to be killer.
This podcast is a product of the Nobody's Knows Podcast Network. Executive producers David R. Larson and K. Drake Streetman. Music for this episode provided by Polymorph from the record Artifacts, Demos, and Debris.